What is going on, everybody? Back again today, and I know I'm late to the game on this, but as you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about the big shakeup again over at Discovery Warner regarding the DCU, the live-action DC film franchise, with the again letting go of Henry Cavill as Superman. This has caused a lot of backlash and controversy, and I just want to kind of set the record straight here on this. There's been a lot of outcry. A lot of people have expressed that they are unhappy with the decision to let go of Henry Cavill again after teasing that he's going to come back in that little after credit scene, post credit scene from Black Adam. And I get it, it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks that they teased us with it and then just to be like, no, he's not coming back. The thing is, I feel like what Discovery Warner is trying to do here is I think they're going to really shake the Etch-a-Sketch on the DC movie universe. Uh, let's pull up the schedule for these films. So the two that are mostly my concern at this point are we know Shazam: Fury of the Gods is coming out in this year. We know that the Flash movie is coming out this year. When is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is also coming out this year. So Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is supposed to be coming out at the very end of this year. Shazam is going to be out in March, and The Flash is going to be out in June. So it's going to go Shazam, Flash, Aquaman. I highly suspect that this will be the last year of anything remotely resembling the previous iteration of the DC film franchise. I would not be surprised to see the Flash movie get pushed one additional time. Just because the Flash movie is the reset button. The Flash movie is highly inspired by the Flashpoint comic book story arc in which Barry Allen does the Flash, he does some time travel crap, which results in the entire history of the DC universe getting kind of reset. And I have very strong suspicion that that's what they're going to do with this movie. They're going to use it as a way to kind of reset the universe and start things over, especially now that it's under new ownership and new management. And it appears that the new ownership and the new management, they really want to get it right this time because they bought this. Discovery bought Time Warner because they want to make money. All right, AT&T wasn't doing shit with it. They weren't managing it right. They didn't show proper stewardship of it. And I think Discovery is over here looking at it like we could buy their company, but we could buy Time Warner, merge it with us, become Discovery Warner, and then I mean look at how much money those Marvel movies are making there over at Disney. Like that's the potential here. So they bought it to make money, no doubt in my mind. So I have a feeling that they're going to shake the Etch-a-Sketch on this shit pretty hard. Now, I could be wrong about them pushing the Flash movie to be the final movie. But that would just, if you think about it and you think about the Flash movie being used as kind of the reset button, that makes the most sense. You would want it to be the final film before you do the reset. You wouldn't want to do the Flash movie, use it as the reset button, but then have an Aquaman movie come out. That takes place in the same timeline, universe, whatever you want to call it. So with them really shaking the Etch-a-Sketch hard on this shit, their idea, I feel, and this is all just suspicion, but I feel like their idea is we got to distance whatever this new iteration of DC films that we make, whatever it is, we have to distance it from the previous iteration because the previous iteration was mixed at best. And honestly, at this point, like if you're arguing that the previous version of the DC cinematic universe that we got, the one with Henry Cavill as Superman, Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, the Suicide Squad movies, all that shit. If you are still in 2023 trying to make the argument that that franchise was fucking awesome and it was like a great representation of DC, you're high. You just are. I could I could I could at least be willing to hear out an argument that it was a mixed bag. But the chips are down. It's time to just say it how it is. It was not great. All right, and we want it to be great, right? If you're a fan of something like DC and they're going to do a live action film franchise of the characters and the stories, you don't want it to be just okay. You want it to be great. So, and it wasn't. It was not great. So I feel like Discovery Warner is like, look, moving forward, we need to, whatever our new shit ends up being, we need it to distance itself from the previous shit. And that's kind of hard to do when your actor playing Superman is the same actor. It's going to be a constant reminder of what came before, and I think they're kind of like, we need people to fucking forget about what came before. All right, if people are ever going to kind of just accept our new version and really try to like give it a shot and get into it, they're going to need to forget the bullshit that came before. If they're constantly looking at the screen of our new movies and seeing Henry Cavill as Superman, they're going to be reminded of his previous time playing Superman in the previous version of DC films, and then they're going to remember all the shit in the previous version of DC films. We need to distance ourselves from that because that was a mixed bag at best, and at worst, it was crap. It was just utter crap. So I feel like that is why. So a lot of you guys were probably wondering, it's like, okay, well, if that's their plan, why did they even bother teasing him at the end of Black Adam? I think that was kind of like the final test. All right, I think that was kind of the final test. I don't know if they really worked it out like verbatim, word for word with Dwayne Johnson and whatnot and Henry Cavill. I don't know if there was ever actually a conversation taking place that's like, look, we're gonna put the Black Adam movie out with Henry Cavill's post-credit Superman scene in it, and if the Black Adam movie does well and people respond well to Henry Cavill as Superman in that scene, then we'll consider not just shaking the Etch-a-Sketch entirely. But it did not do well. It did not. This is a list of the major superhero films that came out in 2022, and as you can see, Black Adam is dead last by a lot. Black Adam is at $391 million total, and Thor: Love and Thunder, right above it, is $760 million. Now, I have not yet watched Black Adam. I have not. I've been considering it because it's on HBO Max finally, so I can watch it without giving them any additional money that I'm not already giving them. But I have not yet seen it. I have, however, seen Thor: Love and Thunder, and I kind of thought it was a bag of ass. So that 760 for Thor: Love and Thunder and 391 for Black Adam, that is strictly because Thor: Love and Thunder has the reputation that it has behind it. It has the reputation of Thor Ragnarok. It has the reputation of the overall Marvel Cinematic Universe being great. It has that reputation behind it, and I think that's what pumped those numbers up. Because Thor: Love and Thunder was, once again, it's like the best things said about it were mixed reviews, and then at worst, people were like, "This is shit." But then you look at above that, and you look at The Batman, the other DC film released this year, and you see that Batman made around $770 million. And Batman was a genuinely great film. So that is a clear indication of what you're working with here. The Batman. One, it's DC's most popular character, and two, they made it very clear that this is its own thing. It has nothing to do with that mixed bag of bullshit that is the DCEU. It's its own thing. So people went, oh, okay. Well, one, it's Batman. I love Batman. And two, it has nothing to do with that other bullshit. It's a separate Batman. So I'll go see it and give it a shot. And they did, and that's why it made money, on top of being a great film. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever with 808 million. Once again, that's MCU hype, and that's also it's anytime an actor dies, uh, then they're famous for playing a role and then they die. People are going to go see that next film that's kind of associated with that actor because they want to see how things pan out and whatnot. I enjoyed Black Panther: Wakanda Forever up until probably like the last third of the movie, and then I thought it kind of went to shit. Um, but this is not a review of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. But just as like a little side note, I do think that overall The Batman was a better film than Black Panther. I think Black Panther makes more money this year, obviously, because just like I said, reputation and Chadwick Boseman dying and people wanting to see like, oh well, then who's going to become the new Black Panther and blah blah blah. But overall, I think The Batman was a better film. And then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the highest grossing superhero film of 2022 with $955 million. This makes sense to me because I did enjoy this film. I give it a solid B plus rating. And also it has the Doctor Strange MCU reputation behind it to help boost its numbers. If there was a gun to my head and I had to pick I had to pick one of the movies on this list to watch as like which one do you want to watch the most, gun to my head, I'm going to choose The Batman. I am a little biased because Batman is my favorite comic book superhero character of all time. But also, I think that I honestly just think it's the better film. I really do. I had my complaints with it in my reviews on my channel, but I think it's the better film. So, yeah. And that's me saying that having already watched the Batman like at least a dozen times. Like the minute it came out on HBO Max, I was watching that on repeat. And I've seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness twice. So, yeah, but you just look at these numbers and you can kind of see when I mentioned about talking about how Black Adam being kind of the final test to see if anything from the previous version of the DC film franchise could be salvaged, if there's any hope for it left. And no, there's not. No, there's ding, and I'm not even going to compare it to Marvel. Ding, ding, no, not even close. There's no fucking hope. It's dead. Nobody gives a shit about it. It's time to let it die and try again. Go back to square one, start over, try again because like it got fucked up the first time. Now, people might be saying, "Well, oh, if it's so bad, if the previous version was so bad and it's so hated and everyone, it needs to be restarted so badly, then how come there's all this outcry about Henry Cavill getting let go? How come people are so upset about Henry Cavill getting let go?" I'm going to tell you right now, it feels like there's a lot of people upset. It feels like there's a lot of people upset because that's the power of the internet. With the internet being what it is in the day and age that we live in, a small minority group of people can use the internet to make themselves feel like they have a very loud voice, when in reality, they're not that big of a group. I'm going to try and explain this using a visual representation. So here I have this picture of a iceberg in the water somewhere. So this iceberg sticking out of the water here, we're going to call that this is the DC film franchise fandom. All right, this is everyone that still gives a shit about live action DC films. All right, this is all of them. All right. So, let's do this. Probably about here's this blue line that I'm creating. Everything that I'm shading in blue is people that liked the DC film franchise the way it was, with Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. They liked all the movies. They even liked Batman v Superman. This portion of the fandom that I'm shading in blue is everyone that liked it the way it was. And they don't want to see it changed. And they don't want to see actors fired. All right? Now, out of this entire iceberg here, this representation here of the fandom, this is the people who still give a shit about DC live action films. We're going to go red here. This top tip portion, these are the DC fans who still give a shit about the movies, who want to see it changed. They admit that there were problems. They admit that it was not going in the right direction. And they want to see the Etch-a-Sketch shaken. Now, looking at this representation that I've got going on here, you'd probably looking at this going, well, it clearly seems that the majority of the fandom, the majority of the fan base, the people who actually give a shit about DC films, it appears that they wanted the films to stay the same. You're right. Out of the entire portion of the fandom, the entire amount of people on the planet that still give a shit about DC films, the majority of them liked it the way it was and wanted it to stay the same. That's because of this bottom portion. This is everyone who has just given the fuck up on the DC film franchise and they don't care anymore. They saw enough bad movies. They said, fuck it. I'm done with DC. I don't trust this brand anymore. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not giving them my money. I'm not watching their movies. I don't care. I'm not watching the trailers when they come out. I'm not paying attention to DC movie news. I don't care what actors get fired. I don't care what happens to the franchise at all. I'm done. It has displeased me so much that I'm fucking done with it. I'm absolutely fucking done with it. That's this. These are the people that Discovery Warner wants to win back. These are the people that were driven away and left the fandom by things such as the Batman v Superman, the original version of Justice League, the first Suicide Squad movie. These are the people that were driven away by that shit. And for the past several years, they just have not cared. It seems like the majority of people in the world liked it the way it was because a vast majority of people in the world are not talking about it anymore. They've given up and they don't care. They have the potential to come back if we get our shit together and start making DC films great again. But as of right now, they don't care. They're not commenting on YouTube videos. They're not watching the YouTube videos. They're not keeping up to date with the news. They don't give a shit. They have their feet firmly planted in this idea that DC Films sucks. The brand sucks. I can't trust it. If I give them my money, it's going to be a waste of my money and time, so I'm just done with it. This is what Discovery Warner wants to win back. So now when we step back and we look at the full picture, you can see that the people who loved the DCEU the way it was, you are in fact the fucking minority, and therefore, bye-bye. Sorry. That's how it works in the entertainment industry. We're trying to make a product. We're trying to make an entertainment product that appeals to the largest amount of people possible because that will generate the largest amount of money. So, when you look at it this way, we have to go ahead and try to gear the product to pleasing these amount of people and everyone here. We want to draw these people back in. That's what we want to do. Sorry. Nobody wants your fucking 45 to 50-year-old Batman. Nobody wants to skip the first 25 years of Batman's career. Nobody wants this fucking weird ass version of the Flash. Nobody wants this weird ass version of Lex Luthor. This is not the DCU that we wanted. It's not. A number of people have liked it, which is clear, but I've outlined that in this blue portion. But the vast majority of people have not liked it. So it's going away. That's just what's going to happen. So you got to just make your peace with it. It's going away. And you know what the reality is? It's probably going to be better. It's probably going to be better. You know why? Because I'm getting a strong vibe that Discovery Warner, I said this already in the video, I'm getting a very strong vibe that Discovery Warner made this deal and bought this shit because they want to make money. And how do you make money? How do you make money with entertainment products? You create them in a way that makes them appeal to the maximum amount of people possible. So, yeah, I have a very strong opinion that they're going to get better. I've heard some rumors going around that online that they're kind of thinking about making the Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman movie as kind of like the starting point for the new DC film franchise and kind of incorporating his Batman in as the main Batman of the DC film franchise going forward. That would be a great fucking idea. I would recommend doing that. And then slowly You can evolve the character. In the Batman movie where he was Robert Pattinson Batman movie, he wasn't he wasn't the greatest world's greatest detective. He wasn't at the top of his game. He wasn't the Batman that we all know where he's just like he's really in his element. He's been doing this for a little while. Like he's got shit figured out. No, he was still a little rusty, and I thought the fight choreography could use some work. I mean, I've said this a million times. The fight scene from Batman v Superman in that warehouse. That's the Batman fight scene standard now. All right? You do it that well or you don't do it. So there's room for improvement, but I still think that the Batman, the Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman movie is a good jumping off point, and I really hope that they do use him as their main universe Batman. Uh, Now, this is very they find themselves in a position that Warner Brothers found themselves in a long time ago. And that was the summer of 2008 when both The Dark Knight came out, Heath Ledger, Joker, The Dark Knight, and Iron Man 1 came out that same summer. And at the very end of Iron Man 1, there's that after credit scene where Nick Fury is waiting for Tony Stark in his penthouse and he says, "I want to talk to you about the Avengers initiative." That was the very first like, "Hey guys, we're going to build a Marvel Cinematic Universe" tease. Same summer that The Dark Knight came out. And at that point in time, Warner Brothers had the option of, "Hey, looks like Disney Marvel is going to build a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Should we do the same?" I mean, we've already got 2 Batman movies under our belts. People have loved them. They love this interpretation of Batman. So we could use them as a launching pad to get our own superhero film franchise off the ground. And we would honestly be ahead of Marvel at this point. And overall, they chose not to do that because of some artsy fartsy bullshit. Because of some, no, this version of Batman, it's like him being part of like a greater DC universe and like interacting with Superman and Wonder Woman. That's not really my vision for Batman. That's not my creative artsy fartsy vision for Batman, so I don't want to do that. The big baller shot callers up top should have looked Chris Nolan in the face and said, "Yeah, well, we think this is a good fucking idea and we think it's going to make us a lot of money and please a lot of fans and everyone's going to enjoy the fuck out of this. So you can take your artsy fartsy shit. You can go fuck yourself. There's the door. We're taking your movie, we're taking your character, and we're turning it into the DC live action film franchise. We don't give a shit if you don't want to. If you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. There's the fucking door. But we're doing it with or without you." But they did not do that. Now, granted, at that time, a live action superhero cinematic universe had never been created. So there was probably some doubt as to whether or not it would work. And on top of that, Chris Nolan had just delivered them the greatest superhero film of all time with The Dark Knight. So I can understand that they were probably like, one, we don't know if their MCU idea is going to work. And then two, we don't want to piss off Chris Nolan because he just gave us the greatest superhero film of all time and made a fuck ton of money. But we're living in 2023 now, where it's been clearly shown that a live action cinematic universe based on superhero comic book stories can work, and it can be very profitable and very enjoyable. So, that doubt should not be there. And Discovery Warner should be looking at Matt Reeves going, "Here's the deal. We're going to take your Batman that you created, your Gotham City, your Batman, your Penguin, your Catwoman, your Commissioner Gordon. We're going to take all of that and we're going to use it as a launch pad for a new DC film franchise with or without you. You directed the shit out of that first one. You did a good job. We would love to have you keep working for us and making these movies. But here's the deal. We will replace you. We're taking that shit and we're going to use it the way we think is best. And it doesn't matter what your artsy, fartsy, imaginative, creative, unique, personal vision is. None of that matters. We're taking this shit and we're going to use it the way we think is best, with or without you. If you want to be a part of it, great. If not, there's the fucking door. Get out." That's the attitude that I really hope Discovery Warner is having right now towards Matt Reeves and all the other producers and create writers and shit involved with the Batman. I hope they're very much so like, we're taking control of this, because the last time we let a director and writer and producers tell us, "No, we don't want you to use our shit that way," We ended up losing out. So we're not playing that fucking game this time. That's what I hope happens. We'll see. But overall, this is a good idea because clearly the income, the profits from Black Adam show that there's no more interest in the DC brand. There's no more trust in the DC brand. Nobody gives a shit. So you're gonna have to do something to reinvigorate interest in DC, because right now it's at an all-time low. Like, you're gonna have to do something to get all these people who've given the fuck up and gone away to come back. And I think the best way to do that is to make it very, very clear to people that we're all that stuff is in the past. We're saying bye-bye to it. All that shit that you hated, all that shit that drove you away, it's in the past. We're saying bye-bye to it. It's gone, and we're starting fresh. It's a new DC. It's not the same as it was before. It's a new DC. You should give it a shot. Just because that version sucked doesn't mean this one will. This is something different entirely. So I think that's what they're doing. I think that's why Henry Cavill was let go. Yeah. And I mean, like, I kind of feel for Henry Cavill a little bit because I'm sure that people are going to say, and he's going to say, like, he didn't leave The Witcher to go be Superman, but I kind of feel like that's why he left The Witcher. He left The Witcher to go be Superman. But at the same time, I feel like Henry knew something was up. I feel like he was aware deep down that, like, this shit could probably not work out. And that's why in the background he was talking with Amazon about this Warhammer 40,000 universe, cinematic universe, TV universe that they're going to try and create, which is fucking awesome. Ever since Henry Cavill made that announcement, I am in a huge Warhammer 40k mood. I've been a Warhammer 40,000 fan since I was 19, and I'm 30, so 11 years. I've been a Warhammer 40,000 fan. I love the shit. It is this grand, epic tale full of action, and it's just as metal as you could possibly be. It's great. I love Warhammer 40,000. And there's going to be a lot more videos coming about Warhammer 40,000 in the near future because I am all about it these days. And I'm very excited for Henry Cavill doing that. I hope it works out. I hope they manage to do it right. I'm going to be doing a separate video regarding just that, just his shit, him making the 40,000 universe, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's about it. Henry Cavill is out as Superman. Everyone's fucking crying about it. It's not a big deal. It's probably actually for the best. If you were one of those people who liked the DCEU the way it was before, sorry. I know you thought that you were the majority of the fan base, but you're not. Well, you're not the majority of the potential fan base. You are currently the majority of the fan base because most people in the world have given up and just gone the fuck away. But we're trying to get them back, which means, and if we do succeed to get them back, then you will be the minority again, and therefore it's like, sorry, it is what it is. But yeah, that's my take on that. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments below if you want to start a discussion. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps out my channel. And if you want to help out my channel even more, check out some of my other videos and maybe subscribe. But other than that, I'll talk to you all later.